double GP in the prize cards there for Henry and for Alejandro. Latias and Muriex could come back. I'd be intrigued to keep an eye on his energy counts. But here is the fist bump, and it looks like Henry Brand is kicking us off in our top 8 feature match here at the Lille Regional Championship. He's going to start the turn off, Present Deputy in the active, and a Buddy Poffin. And while he does this deck search, how about we have a quick little rundown of his Dragapult EX Dust Noir archetype in case you don't know how it works. It's a scary one, I'll be honest with you. Phantom Die for 2 energy, 200 damage, and spread 6 damage counters on your opponent's bench Pokemon in any way you like. Now, if that doesn't sound terrifying enough already, and trust me, you can win the game and announce that attack twice, you have the Dust Noir package, Curse Blasters. If Dust Noir activates his ability, it KOs itself. That's a little bit sad. However, you get to place 13 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. And it's not just about Dust Noir as well, Joe, because the Dust Clops can get involved stage 1. Same ability, but only spreads 5. So the idea of the deck is simple. We're just peppering damage here, there, and everywhere, often taking 4 prize card turns. We even saw the monstrous 6 prize card turn yesterday. So that's what Henry is trying to build towards.
Immediately, Buddy Poffin is going to grab a couple of those Dreepy, because as you stated, Shay, the Dracloak is the engine of the archetype as well as your premium attacker. So getting towards these Pokemon is always objective number 1, and that's all of Henry's actions this turn. The good news for Henry is that at least he has a chunky 2-prize Pokemon in the active position, because in a way, you're much more concerned about Wellspring Mask Ogapon taking multiple single-prize knockouts. That's really the motivation of this Tera Toolbox archetype. That's a combination of different Terrestrial EX Pokemon in order to unlock the Jewel Seeker ability from Noctowl. Alejandro is going for his first Ultra Ball to grab Fan Rotom, and that's really the lifeblood of this archetype, because you gain so much value from this one Fan Call ability, allowing to grab 3 colorless Pokemon of 100 hit points or less. That's basics and evolutions. So you can stash some Hoo-Hoo in addition to Noctowl for the second turn. And then once again, you're jumping back into the deck as soon as you evolve into these Noctowl to grab some specific trainer cards. Typically, we look for energy acceleration via the likes of Crispin and Sparkling Crystal that can go on your Terrestrial EX Pokemon to really churn out some high damage output attacks from the likes of Pikachu, some type coverage attacks in there. Clefairy going to be pivotal in this matchup. But then that Wellspring Mask Ogapon can be another huge threat. And Shay, the Ditto is another choice that we can grab from the Fan Call, and that seems to be one of the options that Alejandro is eyeing up here, with the early Crispin naturally in the hand as well, to provide a retreat cost acceleration here by the looks of things, onto the active Hoothoot, in addition to a Grass Energy in the hand. And we are retreating into that Ditto. We are then able to transform into any basic Pokemon, so it's really easily nice searched out from the Fan Rotom and straight into that Wellspring Mask Ogapon EX, Shay.
Going to see that early game sob, I would imagine. 20 damage and stops your opponent from retreating. You know, typically, these Dragapult Dust Noir decks not play the most amount of switching options. Normally a Professor Churro, perhaps. You don't really want to be playing that turn 2, let's be honest. And yeah, this Wellspring Ogapon's really interesting, right? Because it's got Sob, very useful attack, but Torrential Pump, 100 damage into the active and 120 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. You can dismantle stage 1 and basic, low hit point basics really quickly with that. Keep an eye on that. For now, though, it is going to be the Sob, 20 damage, and bear in mind that Present Deputy cannot retreat now, folks. So most likely that will be there for the rest of this turn. Henry is off to the races, though. As you did rightfully say, Joe, the stage 1 Dragloak, fantastic ability, Recon Directive, long-term players might remember Pidgeotto from back in the day, Airmail. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck. One of them goes in your hand and one of them goes to the bottom. Really interesting because you're not discarding and you're manipulating your deck as well.
Difficult decision with the Recon Directive between Duskull as well as Boss's Orders. Looks like the Boss is ultimately the choice here. Henry typically would love to have the defense mechanism of Budju. Come into that single prize Pokemon, announce an Itchy Pollen, and shut down a huge host of item cards that Alejandro could go for. But thanks to the Sob, it means that's not going to be available, so he might just have to prioritize even more evolving Pokemon. And straight away, the Ultra Ball now discards the Budu straight into a Dracloak to get a second Recon Directive. We're still trying to find additional Buddy Poffin or basics here. But the fact that Henry picked out the Boss's Orders might indicate that's going to be his supporter of the turn, just to try and push away this Wellspring Mask Ogapon.
I need to find energy at some point as well. It looked like that Recon... Okay, it does actually faster Neo Upper energy now in the hands. It does have Neo Upper.
Iono as well.
And the Iono. Neo Upper, in case you don't know. If it's attached to a stage 2 Pokemon, it's an A-Spec. It provides any 2-color energy, that or type, I should say, that you like. And it looks like, Boss's Orders is going to get played into Fan Rotom.
I like this choice.
Okay.
Because sometimes the Noctowl can be played and then Turrowed up. So you don't want to give the free value. You may as well just send them into the Fan Rotom. And there's no vulnerable 70 hit point Pokemon in play right now. So as an attacker, Fan Rotom pretty useless. So let's try and make it a little bit more awkward. And actually, as we know, Shay, Alejandro's Latias EX is in those prize cards. So this might cause some headache for Alejandro if he wants to continue to use this Torrential Pump. Let's see what he can search from Jewel Seeker to help him out.
Yeah, Jewel Seeker, that terrific ability. When you evolve into Noctowl, search your deck for any 2 trainer cards, as long as you have a Tera Pokemon in play, which obviously Wellspring Ogapon is satisfying right now. Looks like eyeing up that Sparkling Crystal. Worth noting, Alejandro has prioritized his only copy of Water Energy, so if you do want to use Torrential Pump, we'll have to use that Sparkling Crystal.
Shay, this turn could be absolutely terrifying. I also saw Alejandro flash the Iron Bundle. There could be a potential line here.
Why would that be so terrifying?
Crystal, if we can Iron Bundle and force a Dracloak into the active, we could then Torrential Pump both of the Dracloak on the bench right now. Air Bloom will allow us to move this Fan Rotom quite easily. but I think it can't all come from one Jewel Seeker, certainly. You could also grab an Ultra Ball in this spot, then Ultra Ball again and find a second Noctowl.
Yep.
But it's just going to be 2 tools picked out for now.
Let's have a look. What else is in the hand? See a turn
Wellspring. Is that already the boss's orders in this hand?
Currently
there it is!
Bosses, oh my goodness, torrential pump. 100 damage into the active, 120 damage to the bench, and I'd bet my life savings that's going to hit into the Dragapult on the bench. There it is. Uh-oh, Henry Brand is playing a Dragapult deck with no GP, no Dragapult in play. Alejandro is on the board here in our top 8 match. Henry Brand, a former world champion. How can you recover? Bear in mind, 2 GP are currently prized, so we're going to have to see some nice stretch or super action to even get them back into play.
This is such a difficult hill to climb already for Henry, who's taking a pause to think. He's also going to just quickly chop Alejandro's deck as he was shuffling from the torrential pump. We have to flip the script to kick us off here. There's only 2 Night Stretcher in Henry's list.
Oh, goodness.
He also doesn't play any item search in his deck either, so he naturally has to draw into these Night Stretcher if ever he can launch attacks with a Dragapult this game.
You'd love for this Nest Ball to be grabbing a GP, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would normally assume that would be the choice, but that's not available thanks to our prize cards.
Yeah, that Latias being eyed up.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. So if you can try and get this Pheasantipity out of the action. Worth also noting as well, the one of Budu got discarded and the other one's prized as well. So we can't even do a panic Itchy Pollen here either.
There is 1 Night Stretcher in this hand, so we can at least try and get 1 Dreepy going before a supporter card here. But it's really not ideal. You are definitely on the back foot. There's no rare candy to speak of in Henry's list either. So it's a slow build where you're going to have to really try and protect this 1 Dreepy for a long time. And we know that Alejandro got some good prize cards as well. He picked up a Noctowl from his prizes.
And it's, you know what, it's really hard to hide a Dreepy on the bench when your opponent's torrential pump just says, hold on, there's 120 damage right there. Woo, iron up the Budu off the Night Stretcher.
Shay, I think we're having a Dragapult-less Dragapult game here. That Night Stretcher essentially seals the fates.
Yeah.
Because we only have 1 more Night Stretcher to play. Is it at this stage where Henry's thinking that Blood Moon Ursaluna plus possibly some Curse Blast is his only opportunity to win the game at this stage?
Blood Moon Ursaluna, Blood Moon attacked in 240 is great for KO in most Tera box attacking options. So yeah, if in supplemented with some Curse Blast, perhaps. I mean, that would be a heavy pivot of strategy. However, that world champion, you know, you look at the game differently.
I mean, you're backed into a corner thanks to those prize cards and the early pressure from Alejandro.
I mean, double Duskull does allude to the fact that we're going to be relying on Curse Blast a lot here.
Yeah. That's going to be, even trying to power up the Latias EX at this stage. These are the panic plays.
Is that what it's called? Eon Blade? I was right, wow. Eon Blade 200.
Smash that.
Itchy Pollen.
Itchy Pollen for 10.
I took myself by surprise there.
Straight into the Crispin.
Oh, and the Crispin off the... Wow, Alejandro! Goodness gracious. Off to the races here.
Gets to keep both those Hoot available in hand as well, just for on the board later on.
Where do you think this torrential pump's going to go then? Do you ever try and 2-hit the Latias? Do you just take off a Duskull?
No, I'm just taking the Duskull here. Yep. We'll go down to just 2 prize cards remaining. You have so many ways of knocking out a 210 hit point EX. Alejandro is racing towards victory in this game number 1.
And that's all you need. Imagine that your turn was just a support and attack. I say just, because look at the amount of pressure that is eyed up there. Another 2 prize turn for Alejandro. Hasn't taken his prize cards yet, but will be on 2 prize cards remaining.
Flip the script from Henry then. We almost certainly have to work towards a Blood Moon Ursaluna EX strategy. And we also need to continue to hand disrupt, because now Alejandro is sat on probably a 5 or so card hand. So once again, working towards INO, if possible, has to be important here.
I mean, Blood Moon Ursaluna, basic Pokemon 260 hit points. Not the easiest thing in the world to knock out, to be honest with you.
We're looking to buy time, Shay. We're going to bring up the Noctowl with Counter Catcher. We don't even have the INO. It has to be the Lily's Determination. Normally, you're rubbing your hands seeing this when you have 6 prize cards remaining, but not this late in the game. And Alejandro needs to be disrupted.
Yeah, that's... And unfortunately, you know, Lily's Determination, if you've got 6 prize cards remaining and you draw 8, I mean, Henry is drawing 8 right now. But when your opponent's got 2 prize cards left, you'd much rather be drawing at 6. What are we looking for here, Joe? Like, how do we get out of this?
Well, we're not looking to attack anymore with a Blood Moon Ursaluna, because you just brought up a single prize Pokemon. That would make your path so tricky. Can't really go anywhere else. We're going to go into the single prize Pokemon and pass here. And look to try and get a full value Curse Blast next turn, perhaps. If you can target down both Hoot at once, maybe you can stifle an engine.
Okay.
And if you can stifle that engine, possibly Blood Moon Ursaluna can still do a lot.
We know Alejandro has the Jewel Seeker in hand, so can easily go and pluck out the Choro. I guess if you're Choro, you can't Crispin at the same time, perhaps. So let's see what this Jewel Seeker finds.
There could be energy switch shenanigans with the Teal Mask Ogerpon that's already in play as well. So you could use Professor Turo, then you could still energy switch onto this Wellspring Mask Ogerpon.
That would...
You could Torrential Pump and set up that Latias pretty happily.
That would be rude. I mean, it'd be great. It looks like exactly what he's eyeing up as well. Energy switch Nest Ball, it looked like.
With the Turo, is there a way to... Well, as soon as you Turo, you open up space to Iron Bundle as well. Could there be a way to Iron Bundle and Terapagos for win here? Because the Wellspring Mask Ogerpon still isn't winning you the game. It's taking you down to 1. Is there a way with Area 0 we could open up our bench with Terapagos and Iron Bundle? Yeah, I think that seems to be...
Eyeing up. So Area 0, the Stadium card. If you have a terrestrial Pokemon in play, you can have up to 8 Pokemon on your bench. Unified Beatdown from Terrapagos, 30 for each bench Pokemon you have in play. So the play Joe is alluding to here is if we can get 2 energy on that Terrapagos, utilize Iron Bundle to push that Dusclops to the bench, force a 2 prize of any active, and you can Unify Beatdown to wrap up this game 1.
Looking like Alejandro is edging closer and maintaining a pretty reasonable board as well, keeping a Hoot open.
Yeah.
That Henry can only really tackle with his own Curse Blast if he finds a Dusknoir next turn. We also get to see 1 additional card here from the Teal Dance.
Okay.
Nestball's also a decent draw, to be fair.
It fills the bench.
That could be the Iron Bundle. Mew EX still a piece.
To draw as well. Wow. This right here, the terrestrial box deck. This
creeping closer to the victory of this game number 1. Even if Alejandro can't close the game in this spot, Henry really does have his back against the wall, especially with more draw Pokemon hitting the board here with the Mew EX. We're going to attack from retreat, so we could just sob this turn.
And that kind of forces...
The sob doesn't matter too much for Henry. He was already basically planning to...
Yeah.
Ooh, it's going to be
Boss's Orders sob.
Yeah.
That's going to lock the Pheasantipity in the active. Still gets to recharge 1. True into the Iron Bundle as well for what it's worth.
But this is still perfect. This is pretty Henry in a spot where he can't even use Iono. He simply has to find Professor Tera scenario here to move this Pheasantipity. And even then it would only be back into Dusclops, you would think. There's 1 copy of Professor Tera scenario in this deck. No way to draw now either. So if it's not in hand, this Pheasantipity is right in danger.
It still requires a little bit to get the KO though, right? We still have to use Unified Beatdown at this point, but I guess we know it's in hand actually. So there we see the turn attachment. Eon Blade is live for 200. How much hit points does Wellspring have? I bet it's more than
at the moment. It's 200. Yeah,
it's 200. Can't maneuver out the active about that Truro though.
Yeah, not in the hand by the looks of things.
Boss's Orders knocked out again.
Boss's Orders play.
And the pass, it looks like it's all Henry can do. Okay.
Action back over to Alejandro, who's still trying to... Oh, there we go. Jewel Seeker should seal the fate here with an active EX Pokemon.
There
now
we go.
Professor Tera scenario, pick up our Noctowl. Making sure that with Night Stretcher we can grab an energy to attach to our Terrapagos. Energy switch onto the Terrapagos from the Wellspring Mask Ogopon, and that's going to take us to a 1-0 in our top 8.
Yeah, wow, that Unified Beatdown coming up. The Noctowl floating to the top, flying Alejandro through that game 1. He's very happy and excited. And you know what? I have to give him credit. Even though Henry, you know, didn't draw the best, you still have to close the game out. And he did a lot of good decisions here. The early game sobs, Boss's Orders. This was really where the game started to get out of Henry's hands, though. You know, from this point, Henry was just playing catch-up already, prize 2 GP. You know, it wasn't the easiest thing in the world for Henry to navigate. And it was just such an uphill struggle. I mean, let's be honest, when you're looking at the board of just the Pheasantipity, it's not going to end well. Right. And when you start attaching energy to start potentially using Eon Blade, Joe, not looking good.
You know, your back's against the wall when that's the announced attack. But Alejandro took some risks there, let's be fair. In order to create that amazing turn, knocking out double Dracloak, he went down to a 0-card hand. He was just working from his own prize cards and his top deck. But he said, just based on the board, if I can clear these Pokemon, I'm giving myself so much time. And I really like his patient approach, trapping the Pheasantipity when he didn't quite have a way to win. Many players would have looked to still take out the Dusclops in that spot. But he decided, no, this is still my most secure way of closing the game. Another fortuitous top deck then secured it for him with that final Jewel Seeker, getting those final pieces. But he was always in a really good position at that stage. Henry really had to claw back a number of turns and had to dodge a lot of draws that would have instantly lost him the game at that stage. So just from that early game pressure, Alejandro really flew ahead. Yeah,
you're right. And I guess the sort of bailout Budu as it was. Prize cards, Neo, Upper Energy,
both ace specs.
Crystal. This is going to be an ace-specless game, and I'm not sure who this is going to affect worse, but it looks like, is it Alejandro who's going first there? I can't really tell. I think it's Alejandro. I'd imagine we wanted to go first, right? I mean, Henry would force Alejandro to go first.
I think I prefer Henry opting first himself here, but it's even more important for the Noctowl builds to go first. If you give them that license
I'm with you.
To go grabbing Hoots and putting the pressure on straight away, that only gives you 1 turn to react.
That was a bit of a costly Ultra Ball there.
It was.
A Dracloak and a Dragapult.
Yeah, already hitting that discard pile again. Some builds of Dragapult play more Night Stretcher than Henry, so it's almost like stashing them for later, but in this case, Henry, with just the 2 copies, does have to be a little careful about how many he has access to, especially when you know your opponent is targeting them instantly in this matchup.
So I have a question for you, Joe. Let's consider that Henry Brander's prize a Neo Upper and Alejandro's prize Sparkling Crystal. Who do you think that hurts more and why?
I think it hurts Alejandro much more, actually, because your early pressure is still the selling point as action passes over.
This hand, whoa, this hand was just Hoot and Energy and a Crispin, I think. Oh, wait, was that one? Oh, Night Stretcher.
Yeah.
Crispin. We're going to do the Myriad Leaf Shower.
We have another grass in the hand. That's the Crispin acceleration.
Grass, you're right, actually, yeah.
If we have another grass energy in the hand, we could, surprisingly, be dishing out a good chunk of damage here with Myriad Leaf Shower, taking out a Budu. The hand isn't great, but it's still pressure.
Myriad Leaf Shower, 30+30 for each energy attached to both active Pokemon. There is another grass in hand. The turn 1 Myriad Leaf Shower. Henry Brand is just on the back foot again, immediately applying pressure. Now, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. That wasn't the greatest of turns there from Alejandro, but it applies pressure. Draglo hits the board. Luma's Energy hits the board. Lily's Determination hits the board. That's another 8 cards for Henry. Now, let's not get too ahead of ourselves here. Dragapult EX is always a combat deck. It's not like, you know, it's built to do this. And I guess if you was to ask Alejandro, do you really want to have 3 energy attached to your 210 hit point basic Pokemon against Dragapult? You probably want to say no. But it's pressure nonetheless.
Yeah, we're taking prizes however we can here. And from that hand, getting 3 of your 4 grass energy in the opener.
Without sparkling as well.
Strangely fortuitous, I suppose. Henry, clutching on already to a really good hand after that Lily, now has the Recon Directive to help out, but already has at least a Buddy Buddy Poffin and future energy for later. Has to be feeling pretty good about this. Whenever you see a Tera engine not get to use that Fan Rotom, because it's a one-turn deal. You only get to use it on the first turn of the game. When they don't access multiple Hoot, stashing a Noctowl in hand for the following turn, you feel so much better about your position. So already you have to feel like Henry is going to be much more in this game number 2. And
you have to imagine for Henry, you're thinking, wow, you had to put 3 energy on your Tilmarsh, your hand must be dire, because that's not something you'd want to do. And it just goes to show you how important the Fan Rotom is, that these decks even play the Dittos we saw. It's another way just to try and pluck it out. So yeah, let's see what Henry does. They're going to conclude with a Buddy Buddy Poffin, like Dreepy is being taken to consulting the rest. Now, I believe I cut you off a little bit earlier. I apologise. Why do you think the Sparkling Crystal being prized is so impactful for Alejandro?
It's more about the Wellspring Mask Ogerpon. It may not even be coming up based on the hand that Alejandro had, but typically it's just a much easier route to go Sparkling Crystal plus that Crispin. Immediately I'm into Torrential Pump, the highest pressure you can put on any deck that doesn't play that Shaman to protect the non-rule box Pokemon. So not having that option and just having to go 1 prize at a time in the early game just gives more time for Henry. It allows him to establish multiple stage 1 Pokemon and still feel a lot more confident about his position. And right now you're seeing that. We've seen already 1 Dracloak established. We're seeing multiple basics still available. We can evolve our active Duskull into a Dusclops if we would like. In fact, that is what we're going to go for here.
Interesting.
There's no way that we can, unless we want to count. Well, no, that sounds so risky. I was thinking of random counter catcher and try and like knock out Hoot in one way or another, but we've already committed our energy, so I'm not seeing how that comes together.
Yeah. And
I feel like we're just holding like this and stashing the Dusclops in the discard pile once again. Action does pass back over to Alejandro here.
And it looks like we have a result from another top 8 game. So it looks like Gabriel Fernandez must have got himself into top 8, but is currently 1 game down against Alexander. Hit at the Dragapult EX archetype there. So an uphill struggle, but, you know, fresh off the finals in Belafonte, I'm sure he'll be fine trying to navigate out of that one. And we'll get more updates coming at you live as they come in. So currently, Alexander's 1 game up there in our other top 8 match. Back down here, though, Alejandro starting off the turn. I think that's an Ultra Ball.
It is, yeah.
Discarding Metal and Lightning. Now, I want you to keep an eye on his energy counts here, folks, because with the Sparkling Crystal gone, these basic energy become very important. We have a Metal and a Lightning in the discard pile and 3 Grass attached. So energy is going to be very, very important. So keep an eye on those.
I think I've already seen Alejandro picking out a couple trainer cards, because he will be, of course, going for Jewel Seeker here, with the Teal Mask Ogerpon acting as his Tera in order to use that Jewel Seeker. So I think Boss's orders on the 1 Dracloak with energy is an obvious target. And you follow that up with, hopefully, a Buddy Buddy Poffin, but that's in the prize card, so that's not even available now. So you can't get double Hoot to follow off the back of that. So that would normally be your optimal choice. Now do you go something like Nest Ball for Mew EX and try and get a little bit of extra draw, or do you just accept that Nest Ball for 1 Hoot is still fine?
And I guess if you was to go for the boss's orders on this Dracloak here, with the Neo upper energy prize, that's backbreaking.
It is. It is. You don't have to fear anything on the next turn. You know that this Steel Mask Ogerpon is coming through, and it is just Nest Ball for 1 Hoot here. Alejandro keeping his option for Jewel Seeker open on future turns, whilst having a really good pressure play. He still forced his way to a couple early prize cards with an unlikely attacker in this spot, Shay, and still picks apart the fact that Henry could only establish 1 stage 1.
And you know what? Like I was saying, you don't get bonus points for winning games in a graceful way. If it's Myriad Leisha picking up the stage 1s, and that's what it's going to be. And it looks like, was it Nest Ball concluding? There's the boss orders into Dracloak with the energy. Myriad Leisha, 120 damage now. Air Balloon attached to Noctowl, no more trying to store shenanigans.
We're getting more and more damage powered up with the Teal Mask Ogerpon.
Okay, I mean, no, what's going to do that? Myriad Leisha for the KO, though. Alejandro's 2nd prize card taken. Henry, this is an uphill struggle now. There's the Dracloak. Would have loved that a turn ago, wouldn't you? There's a Recon Directive being played. Alejandro took Ultra Ball, I believe, from the prize cards there.
It's a strange situation, as Alejandro really doesn't have much in the hand beyond this.
Really doesn't.
Just has a bunch of energy cards. Early set Blood Moon Ursaluna plus energy attachments from Henry into the Curse Blast, onto the Hoot. Now that means Alejandro's taken 3 prize cards. And the Iono as well. Henry making a big comeback, trying to keep Alejandro on a really low hand size from here. Comes back to that opening turn, missing the Fan Call means there's not those huge amount of established Hoot for the remainder of the game.
Ooh, and I think that Ino for Alejandro wasn't the greatest. Henry has drawn into flip the script. Could the comeback be on? We all know that Gardevoir and Dragapult are comeback decks for the most part. They need to stabilize. Henry needs to buy himself a couple turns. Could this be the turn where he can do that? Now, if Henry wants to progress to top 4, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He needs to win this game.
Is this another Curse Blast here, Shay? Are we going to use our next Skull here?
Activate the Blood Moon. It would attack then, right?
Take out who? Then take out the Teal Mask Ogapon.
Wow.
3-card discard. Yeah, we'll discard the Boss's Orders and the Buddy Buddy Poffin.
Is it in deck? Yeah, it's in deck.
It is. Henry going to be racing this game down to the final stages straight away.
Henry Brand got his chef hat on his apron. He's cooking right now.
Wow, really aggressive. Pick apart the only engine piece and take out a Tera at the same time.
That is...
leaving Alejandro with just an Air Balloon Noctowl.
I don't even know what Noctowl attack is. I know it does 70 damage. What is it, like Speed Wing?
Yeah, you don't want to see that.
You don't want to be announcing that. What a turn. So, with that Curse Blast activation, Alejandro has taken 4 prize cards. Now, that means Blood Moon Ursaluna can attack for a single energy. 3 prize card turn. Henry Brand very close to even this back up. What can Alejandro do? Buddy Buddy Poffin. It's not bad. We established some Hoot Hoot.
That was a great donated prize card there. Henry used the Ino before the second Curse Blast because he drew into the Ultra Ball. So that was a nice pickup from the prizes for Alejandro, who is now just a couple prize cards away. Shouldn't really have an easy route to deal with this Blood Moon Ursaluna EX based on the hand. Without Jewel Seeker, without that Sparkling Crystal, there's not going to be an early attack or like an instant attack from a Pikachu EX or anything along those lines.
Is there a world? I know he plays the Mega Mawile. 270 hit points. That's hard to deal with no Duskull.
Well, if we had the pieces to that, it could be game over, right? With how many prize cards already taken.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, do you just try and turn attach, leave it in play, and just say, hope that sticks?
Wow,
wow.
Look at this.
Okay.
Going into the Fan Rotom as a sacrifice. We've rebuilt a pretty decent board.
To be fair, yeah, that's not too bad. It's over to Henry, though. Starts on up with a Recon Directive. God, you just love to have Neo Upper available here, though, wouldn't you, if you was Henry? Could you imagine?
Both players still lacking their ace spec.
Yeah.
Recon Directive again. Henry has to think that Alejandro, not left with many cards remaining, gives Henry the chance. He can't announce Blood Moon again this turn. You know you can't do that.
That is the extra text on Blood Moon. Can't attack next turn.
And we have to slowly attach to one of these Dracloak. Ideally evolve up into one of these Dragapults.
Iron up the Budu, perhaps?
Yeah, that could potentially be a way to be even safer here. You then remove outs such as Ultra Ball towards a Noctowl from your opponents.
There's the Hilda. Grab an Evolution Pokemon and an energy card. Could be special energy, if you like.
And we know that Neo Upper, again, we have to stress it is in the prizes, so we can't launch Phantom Dives this turn.
You'd love to, but it's like Hilda.
We could Jet Headbutt if we wanted to.
That
would put us in range of Blood Moon Ursaluna to take out one of these bench DX Pokemon for the final turn. That would be Henry's way to maximize the pressure. Take out this Fan Rotom this turn. Next turn, you win on the spot. But then you open yourself up to losing to your opponent's Blood Moon Ursaluna on your Pheasantip EX as well. You also open yourself up with this vulnerable Dragapult that can end up having a Psychic Weakness with Lily's Clefairy around as well. So looks like we might be going for the Headbutt, though. Or are we going to... Oh, wow.
I think we are.
We could still pass here and keep the board full. It would take more turns to win the game.
Yeah, he is going to pass. I think you're right. Yeah, you have to make it as hard as possible. Alejandro immediately...
Oh, wow, thinking of retreating. No, straight back. The action is straight
just
back
a pass.
Henry.
Okay, over to Henry now. Is the comeback on? Alejandro's finally run out of steam. And look at Henry. He's picked up a pace play. He knows.
Hawlucha is the game here, Shay.
Hawlucha is the game?
We can Hawlucha, a 210 hit point Pokemon, and a Hoot Hoot.
Okay.
As long as we have an energy to Phantom Dive, that's going to be the final 3 prize cards. Are we looking for it now, Henry, with the Recon Directive?
Boss's Orders, I think.
We require the Boss's Orders. That's in the hand.
There we go. So that's going to put a flight entry, 10 damage on the Teal Mask Ogapon, 10 damage on the Hoot. Boss's Orders, 3 prize card turn. Henry Brand evens it up, winning game 2 here in the Lille top 8 feature match. Wow. Ice in the veins. Had to navigate that perfectly, and now it's the best of 1.
You can see his laser focus, because my goodness, that was... How often do you see a game plan play out like that, Shay, where you have to double Curse Blast into 1 Hoot Hoot just to enable a really early Blood Moon Ursaluna? That is such an unorthodox approach. Let's see how it played out. And really, the story began with these prize cards, an ace-spec for both players, both feeling a little bit down about themselves. Alejandro got in the mix early with that Teal Mask Ogapon EX, forcing Henry into a crazy play.
It's one of those lines where I don't think I'd even see that. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, what a terrific play. The double Curse Blast, removing all support Pokemon and taking... You could argue removing the support Pokemon there was just as impactful as taking a KO, I'll be honest.
Sure.
And then Henry was just able to then piece together the dissection. Alejandro had a little bit of a rebound here. That was a great turn after that Iona. Let's be honest. But this was it, the flying entry, Spednos 10 damage, picking up the 200 hit points left with the Boss's Orders, Phantom Dive, 3 prize card turn. And that's what Dragapult's all about. It doesn't want to take 2 prize cards. It doesn't want to take 1. It wants to take 3, 4, 5, 6.
We've seen the fist bump. We're getting into game number 3 here. Latias and EX Hawlucha, which was the clutch card to win.
Oh, no. Latias with the Blood Moon in the active, Joe. No. no!
That is going to be a really tough thing to navigate for Henry. That ridiculous retreat cost on Blood Moon Ursaluna, normally shut down immediately with Skyliner. But now not so the case. On the other side of the board...
I'm about to say, led the Ditto and the Fan Rotom in hand.
That is as good as it gets. Yeah, really is phenomenal stuff for Alejandro. Has to be happy with how this opening is going. Now, does your plan change if you see an active Blood Moon Ursaluna, or do you still go the Wellspring Mask Ogerpon EX here? You know it's still your... I think if you have an energy in hand, I still like going for the Wellspring Mask Ogerpon.
I agree.
I think if you don't have the energy, it's more reasonable to look for another option here. You're always getting a Tera EX, I would imagine. Again, I've not really seen too much of the hand. We know already it's pretty broken just from the Fan Rotom and starting Ditto.
Starting Ditto that's great. That normally you have to, like, you know, spend an energy to get it into the active.
We're still going to try and
I think, I
threaten the lower hit point evolving stuff, which I think certainly does make the most sense.
You know, and if you slide the gauge, you can still sob. I mean, you're not to know like surprises. You can sob, lock it up there, buy yourself some turns. You force the early Tauros. You don't really want to be doing this progression board state that much. So that's why it has to open, has the A spec in hand as well. Alejandro, come on now. Where's the fire marshals? He's drawing fire right here.
Can pass the action over to Henry. Let's see if his hand treats him any better. Well, Buddy Poffin is the answer. Means we're at least getting into the game with a few basics here. He'll receive the bad news about his Latias EX.
Now, we saw this situation in day one, right?
Yep.
And I think it was Alexander, I believe, and he actually ended up winning. How does your gameplay sort of change and alter now you know you've led Blood Moon and you've got Latias in the prizes?
The main difference is that you simply can't use Budu, right? Typically, you would try and slow down opponents with Budu. In this case, you have this awkward two-prize Pokemon. You'd actually rather your opponent to go through the two-prize Pokemon than gust around you. So in some instances, it might be helpful that the higher hit point EX is in the active, because it's likely Alejandro will still hunt prizes elsewhere, and then naturally Blood Moon Ursaluna finds his way onto the bench. Henry having a debate over whether to get multiple Dreepy here or Duskull. Once again, just going for the one Dreepy.
Has to, surely.
Well, he is shuffling up. I'm a little worried here, Shay. You know you're under so much pressure. Perhaps it's an indication of what's in the hand. Energy to Blood Moon Ursaluna. And the Iono coming in.
I was a bit worried there. Henry, you got the torrential pump beam. And you're right, actually, you might think about it. If you need to try and pick a Pokemon to absorb these torrential pumps in the active, you love it to be Blood Moon. You can take 3 before it gets KO'd, right? So
Anybody popping off the 6 from Iono as well here. Really good opener for both players. We're going to see both players on full cylinders for this final game.
Now you can get the backup GP. There we go. That's the most GP I think we've seen so far, right, in play turn 1 for Henry. Yeah,
he'll take it. He's had some slower starts in both of these games. Really phenomenal play to claw back that game number 2.
Also quite like the early turn attachment. We saw
this is great,
how if you start getting it off to the race, Alejandro, I can just pop some Curse Blast and I'm going to be screaming Blood Moon in your face. So I like that. Looks like Teal Mask Ogre. We do see the pass, I should say. Now it is over to Alejandro. Consulting. What have we got in that hand, actually? Because get hit with the iron. I say Crispin and Energy, Body Puffin, Teal Mask, Noctowl, Boss's Orders.
That means options galore, yeah.
There's a lot going on. Having the Crispin in hand is naughty. That means you don't have to search it for Dual Seek, or you can search it and then blow off. Oh, I had to search for it. Lol, I got another one. Next turn.
Iron Bundles coming into the thinking for Alejandro here.
Oh, see, this is what you want to avoid if you're Henry. You don't want the Torrential Pump taking 2 prize cards, and Iron Bundle does that because it pushes that Damage Sponge, Blood Moon Ursaluna to the bench, promoting any one of those basic Pokemon on the bench. Low hit points. There's the Area 0 under depths live. There's the Nestball Hybrid immediate activation.
I was not expecting the Area 0 as the choice. I was thinking maybe just hold an Ultra Ball to the hand would have been a decent choice there. But it means we can get extra Hoot down here, I suppose, is the idea with the Area 0 under depths. Now expanding the bench to 8 spaces rather than the usual 5.
I think this is a Buddy Poffin being played here, I think.
It is.
Just for the one who, Crispin is in the hand as well. We'll need that for the Torrential Pump. The turn 2 Torrential Pump, Joe, you can't have some more than that as a Terra Box player, right?
That's the entire build around of this deck. The early game is almost always looking towards your Wellspring Mask Ogerpon in these sorts of matchups. Now, do you ever take pause and look to take out one of Duskull?
I was literally just thinking that, because this is exactly what happened last game. You got a little bit too excited taking on the GP, which makes sense, you know, there's merit for that. However, Blood Moon eats low hit point EX Pokemon for lunch with that Blood Moon attack, so we've got to try and keep that at bay. So I actually think I would be chasing a Duskull here.
As the extra draws, Picks up a Lily's Determination, which could be useful at some point. Does opt for the Duskull. I really like this choice.
I like that.
Respecting what happened in that game number 2, and goes up once again. An easy knockout on a couple low hit point Pokemon thanks to this Torrential Pump, and Henry promoting the Blood Moon Ursaluna himself this time around. He might just be slowly attaching to it the remainder of this game, Shay.
I mean, it will start knocking on the door eventually. You can't go around it forever. 260 hit point basic Pokemon. It's actually quite awkward for Terra Box to deal with.
It is.
Especially when Pikachu's in the active, in the prize cards, I should say. Energy Switch and Nitro to take on the prize cards. And I think was that Boss's Orders played for Henry, and the pass with the Luminous Energy attachment.
Evolution to any Dragapult is a real shame for Henry here. It's going to be one Blood Moon Ursaluna against the world if Alejandro has his way. Stop
me if you heard this before. Boss's Order to Noctowl and pass. It's over to Alejandro. You see the Ultra Ball.
Again, there's Energy Switch available here, so we could spend an attachment to Noctowl and still retreat that way, or use Turo and still Energy Switch attached to our Wellspring Mask Ogerpon. We don't have to use Crispin here.
Nice stretcher in hand. You'd love to get the Iron Bundle again here, wouldn't you?
That would be, again, excellent.
Just seems like the world is Alejandro's oyster right now.
Typically, you would expect the Pikachu as another option, but that's in the prize cards.
Oh, so there's the energy switch.
Yeah.
Do we see the retreat?
So now you can still...
Oh, had the nice stretcher in house. Get back energy. Okay, so Till Dance. Okay. Boss's orders.
I think we still have access to Jewel Seeker if we need it.
Yeah, there's an Ultra Ball in hand. Yeah,
Ooh,
Alejandro has everything.
Interesting. Going for the Lily's Determination instead, by the looks of things.
Whoa,
So are we going to be sobbing into this Blood Moon Ursaluna?
Interesting. Okay, Alejandro, I see you. Lily's Determination. That's only going to be for 6, though. Yeah, well, of course.
6 fresh cards.
Okay.
I think not trying to fall into that trap of everything going haywire with Blood Moon. If you go down to just an Ino, you're kind of just hoping that you can get into run of Jewel Seekers. Something along those lines. So when your opponent's not evolved into any Dracloak, you're not in much immediate danger.
That's true.
The danger really becomes the Blood Moon Ursaluna again. So even if you're poking it for 20, that's still helpful.
Especially when your Pikachu EX is prized as well. Yeah. Okay, well, we see Lily. Remember that sub, 20 damage. 20 damage could be relevant as well. There's the Jewel Seeker. Okay, what else going to piece together here?
The other side of the hand, because I'm pretty sure there was a Jewel Seeker available
there was an Ultra
previously.
100%.
Before the Lily. But now we're still piecing a couple cards. I mean, we still have Energy Switch available. And energy attachment, nestable vessel. So we're getting some backup attacks lined up here, Shay, perhaps.
I don't mind it. If you're going to sob, get some extra energy in play. We do see that Earth Invest conclude. Now, if you want to get your hands on some of these play promo cards, get yourself down to the local.
Shay, is it Morwile time? Is it Mega Morwile time coming soon? Is that the Pokemon that we could slowly attach to?
I'd love a bit of Morwile. Get that Gobble Down for game. Come on. I mean, it works, though. It does deal with the Blood Moon Ursaluna rather well. Even the second attack, it does require free energy mine, though. But is it like, what's it called again? Huge Bite. Just do 260, that's a big number.
Energy.
But it looks like Dragapult. I mean, that also does good damage as well.
There we go. Just the sob for 20 then. There's a fresh hand. Oh, no, it's the same hand for Henry, so we know he's still not sat on much.
Let's have a look. There's a Buddy Puff him.
At least try and get a Duskull down, maybe do some more prize manipulation. Actually, no, he can't, because one's been KO'd and one's in the prize cards. So it would just be additional Dreepy here. And potentially Badu.
Thing is, if you try to maneuver Blood Moon Ursaluna now, you're giving up your 2 energy, right? It doesn't play a switch, it's just Chora, I believe, right?
Yeah, just the Tera.
I love the looming threat of Blood Moon, but I'd love it much more if it was on the bench, of course.
Well, we can attach again here, Shay. We can keep going. We could be attacking this turn.
Oh, yeah, we can attack. Yeah, you're right. Because luminous energy counts as colourless.
Yeah, the colour doesn't matter.
So you can use it, yeah. So there's the Blood Moon. That's going to remove the A-Spec as well. So Alejandro, maybe that's why he decided to take a turn off and attach to the Terrapagos. 2 prize cards, does get the Latias as well as the Hilda. Okay. Technically, it's a tie game now. And the thing is, you can't deal with this Blood Moon very easily.
Well, with the 20 prod, Terrapagos is the Pokemon that can reach with a unified beatdown.
Needs the maximum bench, though, right? I would imagine.
We do need some additional
not far off
bench Pokemon, but the Nestball will already help with that.
Yep.
So Alejandro, recognizing that now the Blood Moon is the bigger threat, let's start preparing for that. And Lily's Clefairy, haven't seen it much this set because the games have been far from usual, but finally coming into play as well. Oh, going to change things up here, perhaps.
I don't mind that, though.
Latias EX, also reasonable, knowing that Henry has been wanting to trap targets throughout the set.
And it looks like we have another result from our top 8, another top 8 game. Kai Wainwright, Piper Lapine with that Dragapult Dusknoir versus that Enzoroark. Going to a game 3. Piper said she'd rather play against Gardevoir. Unfortunately, going to have to square off against Kai. Had the best record coming into this top cut. And that's going to a game 3. Again, we'll feed you more information as and when we get it. But for now, that's going to a game 3 as well. Let's
see the flip the script then for Alejandro. After a Blood Moon knockout on his Wellspring Mask Ogapon. What does that bring? Well, first of all, a Teal Dance.
There's another basic energy.
Again, could we start getting another Pokemon into the mix here? If you have more energy switch, could you get 1 energy on your Mega Morwile EX? That would really start to close the jaws in on Henry.
I like that one. I gave you a cheeky look, closing the jaw, Mega Morwile. Come on, huge bite. Love it.
Hand is massive. Here comes an Ultra Ball.
I mean, I'm not just saying because I like the card, but I think it kind of makes sense though, right? Like, you can't deal with it. It's such a high hit point Pokemon.
Yeah.
Especially if you know your opponent doesn't play Rare Candy, which Henry doesn't. It looks like eyeing it up, perhaps. Oh no, Latias instead. I don't teach.
Couple good options. That's the issue.
That's true. Yeah.
But I think the Mega Morwile, as you get closer and closer to the victory, this card gets stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
You deal 80 times the amount of prize cards you have taken. So it's like, in a way, the definition of a win more card.
Oh, 100%.
It just becomes unstoppable. But it looks like the Wellspring Mask Ogapon is the choice. Crispin as a supporter for the turn. That means that once you've dealt with this Blood Moon via your Terrapagos EX, you're then looking to close the game via Torrential Pump.
Yeah, interesting decision. We do have another result from our top 8 match, Joe. Alberto Conti, Gdansk regional champion. 1 game up against Hermione. Dragapult versus Charizard. That's going to a game 2 now. Again, we'll feed you more action and results as we get it. For now, though, we're following our feature match here. Game 3, Alejandro. got out. The Teal Mask Ogerpon played the Crispin, attached into Terrapagos, free retreat. Unified beatdown. This will be enough for the KO. Attaching the air, I think you want to hold on to that.
Yeah, I'd love to hold on to that. You've got multiple knockdown. You may as well just finish off this Blood Moon. A really smart sob up the previous turn sets Alejandro up to this position where he has 2 prize cards remaining to take. A threatening Terrapagos in case there's any multi-prizes hitting the board, but also that Wellspring Mask Ogerpon is prepped, ready to go. And there's not even any hand disruption from Henry. He has to just use a Hilda here.
That means with this Hoot here, I should say, being open, that could be scary. But there is the Neo Upper.
It's alongside a Dracloak, and of course there are no rare candy in sight, so
you'd love that. Really
all we can do is recon directive and end on an itchy pollen no matter what. The only good news is that if we can get into some counter catcher, potentially we could trap some of these Noctowl, maybe even trapping the Pheasantipity EX at this stage because there is no Latias EX on board. That's the only defense Henry can construct here.
Is there a world in which you ever try and get Blood Moon back?
Yeah, Blood Moon Ursaluna coming back into play would also be useful. It would put you 1 turn away from winning yourself, and it's not an easy Pokemon to KO.
With 2 energy, but there's so much energy in play now, Alejandro, and you know if it's energy switch, so you know, realistically, you know where the energy is. It's not going to stay.
Yeah, we're just powering up Dracloak here. Henry cannot defend himself anymore. There's no counter catcher in the hand. He simply has to announce Itchy Pollen here.
We'll consult the discard pile now.
He can't retreat into any EX Pokemon. They are all in range of a Terrapagos right now.
Looks like Alberto Conti very quickly won that game too, so he secures himself in top 8, but it is over to Alessandro here. There's the boss's orders, torrential pump. Oh no, just going to use the unified beatdown. Goes down to 1, I should say. Apologise, I thought we're going to torrential pump there. Doesn't have the sparkling crystal anymore. That got, excuse me, he's been so used to him down to the torrential pump. Wow. So Alberto Conti is going to find himself in top 4. Congratulations to him. Alejandro is 1 prize card away from joining him here in top 4.
And Henry is clinging on. No. He's finally found an Iono though. He can refresh this hand. None of these Pokemon can withstand an attack. Henry needs to find from these 4 cards a way to use his Blood Moon Ursaluna EX.
1 prize card away though, the torrential pump. I guess to be fair, you're hoping that Iono sticks.
Listen, Shay, let's find the Night Stretcher.
Oh wow,
that keeps Henry in this game.
Wow. So
you could also not take a knockout with the Blood Moon Ursaluna. That would play around, flip the script as best you can.
Yeah.
So then you just sit there and try and again slow build toward a Dragapult. I'd only really like that if there was a Dracloak in the hand. Oh, he's going into Dracloak.
Interesting.
Going for the recon directive, trying to find a counter catcher.
The boss's orders Dragapult, I believe that was, right?
What else can we do?
Oh,
That's
this is a concession. Henry Brand concedes game 3. Alejandro marches to top 4 here in Lille. The crowd goes wild. Has a big fan base here. The local kid toppling the former world champion coming all the way from Australia. Congratulations to him, and doing it with a whole medley worth of attackers in this game. Terrapagos, the unified beatdown, was able to secure the victory.
Huge congratulations to Alejandro. He did not put a foot wrong the entire set.
Yeah.
Really great, cautious plays throughout, using the sob to great effect in a number of those turns, to be honest with you, Shay.
Yeah.
Let's go through how it panned out in game number 1. And it actually did start off with this early sob. Rather than chasing that early knockout, he waited until the resources were available to take out double Dracloak from Henry. Let's not forget that Henry prized 2 of his Dreepy this game as well, which allowed Alejandro to go all in with this knockout with the torrential pump, leaving Henry with just that flip the script.
Yeah, it's not something, you're not going to win many games with that board, but Henry did his very best, you know, was trying to get back in the game, but however, at any time there's a Latias with 3 energy, or even 2 to be perfectly honest with you, things haven't been going correct, have they? There was the boss's orders, that's going to bring up there, and that was going to be another